Hello, welcome to another episode of Tanya Talks, and today I am talking to the genuine wonder that is Aubrey Parsons. Hello, Aubrey.
Hello.
Thank you for coming to talk to me today.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Is it never a chore?
Never a chore. Always interesting.
Well, yes, well, that's true. Yes, interesting is one way of saying it. So thank you for doing this. So we're doing a series of little podcast mini podcasts, mini teas, all about fantastic students, of which you are one. So you came to work with me because you were already working in audiobooks and you were a singer. And of course, singers, as we know, are usually quite good if they've got a decent voice at voiceover because they have a good pair of ears. And you definitely have a good pair of ears. But there were certain things that you wanted to change or things you wanted to learn. So what made you come to me in the first place? Because I can't remember. That's not me being like, why did you come to me? I mean, why?
Well, I started off like a lot of people thinking voiceover was easy. I'd been a singer all my life. So I had a studio. Health issues meant that I was struggling to perform all the time. I used to perform sort of 5 nights a week and I was getting tired. So I needed to change a career. So I thought, right, I listened to audiobooks all the time. And, you know, I'd hear commercials on radios and I think I can do that. It can't be that hard.
Mm-hmm.
And after about 3 years of doing that, trying to get into the industry by myself, I kind of succeeded to a certain degree in audiobooks, but that was as far as it went. I was auditioning for voiceover jobs and not getting anything. So I kind of, you know, and everywhere I looked, people were going, get training.
Yeah.
But I thought, I'm fine.
I don't need that training nonsense.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then eventually, I was at One Voice conference a couple of years ago. You had a little table there, and I thought, yeah, it's probably time I need to get some training done. And because I'd built a bit of an income from audiobooks, I thought I'll reinvest that into training. And all of a sudden, my eyes and ears were opened to the whole, you know. All those little mistakes that I was making were adding up and were stacked against me. So the training that I had from RichCraft, sorry. Never.
There was a Freudian slip there. I've been called worse.
The training kind of, you know, pulled me up on various aspects of things that I was doing sort of incorrectly and things that the industry wouldn't want. So you guys steered me in the right direction with the right techniques and the right attitudes and the right way of performing the right type of for the different types of voiceover.
Yeah. And so did you find then that having done the training and you got to reel standard with us, which means that you had to get to a really high level with us because we try not to, we will go and direct reels for people, but when people make reels that we've brought through our process, they have to be the best of the best. And you obviously got to that stage. Did you find you were getting those jobs all of a sudden?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it was basically I spent about 6 months having lessons and constantly practicing all the time, practicing, recording, listening back to what I've done. And then after sort of about 6 months and after we'd gone through a number of sessions and I meet the producer and then I started sort of going back to audition for stuff and started, you know, initially I didn't pick up work immediately, but what happened was I started getting likes on the auditions that I'd done, like on some of the pay-to-play sites. I was getting marks against my audition saying they liked me and I'd been shortlisted, which hadn't happened before. And then as I sort of got more comfortable with what I was doing, then the work started coming in. And it's kind of a snowball effect because once you start getting in jobs, it's you know, you become more confident.
You do.
The next time you audition. And I think that confidence shows through in your auditions. And also you then have a bit of a a backlog of work that you've done in the past that people can go, oh, okay, this person is, this is what they do. So.
And of course, the lifeblood of a voice actor is repeat business. And this is why I always advise people from making show reels until they're ready. Because if you make a show reel and you send that show reel out and you get a job off it and you can't actually reproduce it or more in the studio situation or whatever, even as a self-direct, you've lost that client. They will never use you again. And people talk. And people get bad reputations. And that's why I'm really proud of any of the students that make reels, because I know you won't let yourselves down. You won't let me and RichCraft down because you know what you're doing. I always say it's okay to be nervous because it's a new client or a new situation, but not because you don't know what you're doing. Because if anything's going to sap your confidence, it's going to be that I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, to have the sort of the pedigree of RichCraft training behind me kind of gives you that extra confidence because of the way you teach people, and because you have a belief in your students.
Yes.
I know that, if somebody isn't good enough, you will tell them. You won't just take the money and run, which unfortunately there are some people out there that call themselves tutors or trainers or teachers, and all they want is your money.
I know.
Whereas you guys care about your reputation.
We do. And we care about you because we want to set you up to succeed, not to fail. I would feel so bad if somebody wasn't ready and they just didn't listen to my advice and they went off and made a reel. And I've had this happen occasionally. It doesn't happen very often because people tend to take notice of what I say, but occasionally I get people who think, no, I can't wait. I want to do it. And they've wasted their time. They've wasted their money and their reputation. They've got to rebuild it now.
Yeah.
And you've got to learn. People, you don't just get into a car one day and start driving. You have to learn the steps. And of course, you did have advantages having done the audiobooks and the singing. But, there were things to learn. And, it makes me so happy because I actually really care about my students. And, well, all of the coaches do. We really care about you guys. And we're so proud of you when every little success is not for us, but for you guys. We're like, yeah, go on, Aubrey or whoever,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do follow quite a few sort of various discussion forums, and I often see people saying, I want to get into voiceover, what do I do? And my comment is always, get trained, find somebody who is very good. Obviously I always recommend you guys, but I say to them, spend the time and the effort and train. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. There are very, very few people that are fortunate enough to walk into voiceover, but there's a tiny proportion of people that have an exceptional voice, or they're already famous.
Yeah, exactly. Usually that's actually
work really hard at making it happen, and it's such a long slog.
It is.
I really did think I could just. Because you keep seeing people on TikTok going, make £500 a day by doing voiceovers. And you think, what a load of...
I know, it is a load of bollocks. You can say bollocks on my program. So are there any techniques that I taught you, and obviously, that you still use that's in your little lexicon in your brain that goes, oh, I need to do this, or Aubrey, you're running out of breath there, you need to do this. Is there anything that you found the most useful? What's the most useful?
Absolutely. The breathing thing is something that I really, really remember from my training because I, like a lot of people, had a tendency of running out of air towards the end of a sentence. And without even thinking about it, you'll be talking away, and as you're talking, you're getting quieter and quieter and quieter.
Yeah.
So that technique of keeping the breath right up to the end is something that I use not every day, every minute of the day when I'm working.
Yeah.
There are other things like if you come across a word that's difficult to pronounce, being able to push the word through. I mean, the thing is with a lot of those techniques, they're just in there.
They're ingrained, aren't they?
Ingrained. Yeah. I don't even think about, I need to do the such and such technique. It happens because I've been taught it, and it's second nature to me.
Yeah, because I
So
often say to newer voices when I'm working with them, they're going, "Oh God, I'll never get this." I say, if I had £1 for every time I've heard this, you will get it. You really will, and when you do, you'll stop thinking about it, and it will just be natural. And that's what
yeah,
everybody says to me.
yeah, that's exactly it. And I
Yeah,
mean, being able to use your diaphragm properly, and there's a way that you show students how to use breathe and use your
the
diaphragm
magic
properly.
breath.
Which, yes, exactly, yeah. And that never leaves you. And if I listen back, which I don't tend to do so much nowadays, I rather look forward than look back. But if I listen back to some of my early sort of revision audio notes that I made with you guys right at the beginning, the difference between then and now is like two different people
Oh
talking.
yeah, oh yeah, the
Same
improvement.
accent, but
But the thing is with you is you do this is why it's interesting for me, because there are some amazingly good, talented voice actors who, like me, learn to voice to tape and have got, probably do use the techniques that I do, or unless they've forgotten them, which I doubt, it's very ingrained. And for whatever reason, they're not working. And sometimes, people don't want to come along and admit not failure, but they want to be seen to be like still viable, I suppose. And of course they are. They just need to just change what they're doing. And so I do get some people that say have got a modicum of success, and then they're not getting any further, and they almost feel like if they come to me that I'm going to get some kind of kick out of it. I'm going to like think, oh yes, so you've had to come to me, and that's not what all I think is. Oh, I'm so glad you're here because I'm now going to help you. And I think a lot of people, because perhaps, I don't know, it's the way I look, my reputation being very straight talking, which I know in our industry is not very common. People have often a version of what they think I am, which is completely what I'm not. And as as my students, how much I care about you. And I think I really do.
There's we have a generation and a society of people that have been brought up, and they don't like being offended by anything, right? So, if you're going to be, if you want to learn, you need to be told where you're going wrong.
Yeah.
And you need to be told, this is, here are the techniques you need. And if you make a mistake, you need to be told. Otherwise, you'll just continue making that mistake. Now, there's a whole group of people now that are sort of grown up, and they're like, the minute you say something, they take great offense.
I know.
And you can't, people like that are never going to learn anything.
But then they get people who are coaching them, or whatever coaching is, and they're not telling them. They're just telling them how to say things, or they're telling them everything's nice. And the thing is, yes, I will, of course, I'm going to tell my students that's not right, but I don't do it in an unkind way. I think people have got this image that I'm going to do that whole drama school thing of breaking people down and building. Don't do that. I do it as kindly as I can, and it's only if somebody is particularly obtuse or whatever that I might get a little steely-eyed. But on the whole, I'm not like that at all.
There's nothing wrong with that, is there? I mean, that's you. Sometimes you have to be like that with people.
Yeah,
to get your
but the
point
industry
across.
isn't like that.
No,
I had. Yeah,
the industry does not take prisoners.
It doesn't.
Basically.
It doesn't.
You either survive or you're gone. It's quite
and you've
simple.
got to be tough.
Yeah,
I did a job recently, and as you know, I'm sure, everybody always blames the voice. The internet's not working, it's the voice's fault. The script that hasn't come through quickly, or they've got the wrong version. Oh, well, I sent you the right one. Well, actually, I think you didn't send me. Oh, no, it's here. I'll send it now. Never apologize to you either. You just have to go, okay. And that's what I teach you guys. Nobody cares. Work harder. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Because they don't care, and you are going to be the butt of it. You are, Jonathan Kidd's book, which is brilliant, talks exactly about that. In all the times in every studio he ever went into, he got lunch once. And, when the star came in, like the star name, they would get treated like a king, even though they were not particularly good. And he was like this jobbing voiceover, jobbing gob. And he was just, oh, well, yes, and everything would be blamed on you. And it's just the way it is. So when people get precious, they're really rather silly, I think.
Yeah. And you do come across, it does sometimes feel like you're the bottom end of the food chain when you're voicing stuff. I not famously, but it was very public. It happened quite very publicly that I voiced a game earlier this year, which and it was a huge game, and I was one of the sort of the god figures in the game, and went in and actually had to do the job twice because they had technical issues. I got called back the same day. Did the whole job. Yes, it's all done. It's all yours. Got paid twice for the job. Very well. Thank you very much. And then went away and was told, yeah, that's it. You're in the game. Game comes out. I tell everyone it's me because I'd listened to it and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the script. That's my voice. And then turned around and told by actually somebody that wasn't directly connected with the production, but that they hadn't used my voice in the end. So I made myself look like a complete dick.
Oh no!
But that's a classic example of how, that company didn't think to mention anything to me
they
that
wouldn't,
I hadn't
would
been
they?
used. But that's the way the industry works.
Yeah. Well, it's the same as being in a film and ending up on the cutting room floor, isn't it?
Yeah, and that happens all the time.
Yeah.
I did Doctor Who last year. I was singing in Doctor Who, playing an opera singer, and they used the initial cut of me in the TV program and my voice singing in the background, but all the rest of the stuff they'd filmed, they didn't bother using, or it's obviously cut for editing's sake. But that's what happens in the industry.
It is.
It's not to say you've done a bad job.
No.
It's just that actually we don't need that bit anymore.
And did you listen to the other voice that they used instead of you and realize? Did you have any clue
I thought
why?
It was me. Yeah, no, it sounded absolutely like me. And I'm pretty sure that what happened was they used me, they recorded me, and then they basically, for whatever reason, went to somebody else and said, sound like him.
But why? You see, this is the annoying thing in our job. Often we don't know why. I mean,
well, that was it. Yeah,
that's the worst thing.
So there was no explanation. So, when the game came out, and I'd even put it on my CV and on, Spotlight and stuff because I was convinced it was me.
Of course.
So then I had to sort of, it was quite embarrassing. I had to sort of go and change everything. But it taught me two things. First of all, it taught me that, no matter what job you do, there is no guarantee that it will ever end up being out there, whether you're paid for it or not. And secondly, don't say anything about anything until it is actually out there.
Yes.
Right?
I know.
It's
a hard lesson to learn. And I mean, and you don't get an explanation. You see, and what people think will happen is that the director will turn you and say, you know what, Aubrey did a fantastic job, but in the end, we actually thought we'll get somebody else who sounds like you. We did that because they live nearer than you, or because we like them better, or because they bought us chocolate biscuits. You don't know, but nobody ever does. And you do learn these lessons. I know one of our graduates put a LinkedIn thing out the other week saying that how we go and we try and do direct marketing. And I understand that people get nowadays, especially inundated, I am sure, with I'm a voiceover. But he sent out his thing and then 2 weeks later followed up, which is standard procedure. And he got an email back and it just said, stop.
Oh,
and it really, it hurt. Yeah, but I've had a similar thing happen to me years ago. And my husband said, and it really upset you at the time because it's so unnecessary. It's so you don't have to be that unkind. You could say, listen, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to use you because I don't like your voice but people aren't honest. I've even phoned up. I remember phoning up radio stations when they used to be all over the country and I wouldn't go and work for one for ages and phoning them up and saying, listen, is the reason you've not booked me because you don't like my voice or you don't like what I'm doing? You can tell me I'm a big girl, I can take it. Or is it just that you haven't got any work for me? And I would say, to be honest, 9 times out of 10, people said, no, it's just I haven't got any work. And then within a few weeks, I'd get work from that. I think, oh, God, I wish I'd never made that phone call now. I feel a right idiot. However, there were people that would never. I mean, there was one producer. I'll tell you a quick story, right? This is what's a true story happened to me. So as a jobbing voiceover, what you would do is you get bookings. This was the voiceover dream. All these voiceovers now, this is what it was like in the old days. You get your diary out at Christmas and say I was going up to Sheffield, to Hallam. And then I'd get on to all the other radio stations around there. I'm going to be in Hallam in this date. Can I come and work with you? Yes. And we'd have time slots and you'd get up there and you'd 30 scripts, 10 scripts, didn't know what they were. And you go to production houses, right? So there was a production house in Wales. Sorry, it was a radio station in Wales, and I was down in Swansea Sound. I thought, well, come up and I'll go to this other radio station. I won't mention any names. And obviously, anybody that knows the radio station in Wales will know what I'm talking about. And I phoned up, as I would, and say, hi, I'm female voice and I'm in the area. Wondered if you need an FVO today. And they didn't. And then I found out from another voiceover said to me, you won't work for that person. And I went, what? Yes, he didn't like the fact that you phoned up and asked him if he wanted to work. He thought that was not what females should do, that's the kind of thing that male voices do, and that he thought it was too pushy. I said, but that's our job. That's what we do. Everybody did that. I wasn't nasty. I wasn't like, use me. It's like, hi, I'm in your area. I was really nice. I was in my 20s and, and he never used me. And then years later, I went to a radio station where he was then head. I'd been requested by the client. So he had no option but to have me in because he never booked me. And I walked in and I thought, oh, that's what you look like, is it, you tiny little man? And I went up to him and I said, hi, I'm Tanya Rich. And he went, I know who you are. I said, oh, do you? Good. Take a look. Here I am. And I thought, you can do one.
Yeah, you can be quite scary, man.
Well, you know what I mean? I thought, how dare you do that to me when I'm doing my job? I was, it was so unfair. With me, I'm very fair, Aubrey. And I cannot bear unfairness, whether it be to me. Like if somebody was unfair to you, like these gaming people, I want to go and smack them. How dare you do that to my Aubrey?
I mean, on the flip side, one of the great things about voiceover work is when you get a client that you build a good working relationship with, then you get lots of repeat work. There's good communication. I'm working with a lovely bunch of people at the moment, and that's Lapland, UK.
Oh, I know you are. Is this your favourite job so far, do you think?
It's been great fun. It really has. And it started last year. I answered an ad on Bodalgo. Somebody looking for a Father Christmas voice. So I started looking around at other voiceovers, Father Christmas voices. And the majority of them weren't very good. They were just people sort of trying to sound like an old man.
Ho, ho, ho.
There was no warmth to their voices. Yeah. And, there's a lot of people do video messaging and stuff like that, which is great, but I thought, I'm sure I can do this. This is right up my street. So I auditioned and they got in touch and said, you're the voice we've been looking for, which surprised me. And, so then I started, last year I did all of the voicing for their Elfcasts, they're called. It's a podcast that runs throughout December. Yeah. And they're lovely little stories about all the characters at Lapland, UK, told by Father Christmas. And so then they said, oh, can you do full production on it? Can you put, we've got music that we've had written, but can you put music on and make it sound like he sat in his house, sat by a fireplace with a ticking clock and snow? And so I did all of that.
Wow.
And then earlier this year, they got in touch and they said, can you act? Well, yeah, I'm a voice actor. Now, how would you feel on film? And I said, well, what are you thinking? And they said, well, we want to do the same as we did last year, but we want it all to be filmed. So I went to Lapland, which is by Ascot, during the build. They build
of course it is.
They build the town every year from scratch. And it's just incredible, the amount of detail that goes into it.
Oh, how lovely.
And I had to sit in Father Christmas's house and do the Elfcasts. So I've now done I've done the app, I've done the game. There's a TV program coming out by Channel 4. I've done the voicing on that. So that job has,
Aubrey,
expanded. It's been lovely, and it's great fun to do something like that.
So that's probably one of the best jobs you've ever done, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I tell you what, it's one of the hardest physically because we had time. There were a lot of time restraints, so I had to do. When one day we did 15 elf casts, right?
Wow.
Now, they're about 20 minutes long each.
Yeah.
And I had to film 15 of those back to back in the one day without seeing the scripts beforehand. So
Good job. You've had good training then.
well, this is it. And this is what I was going to say. This is where my training really kicked in, because I had an auto cue in front of the camera.
Oh, right.
And I hadn't seen any of these scripts before we started. And to do 20 minutes worth of non-stop voiceover as a character, seeing a script for the first time, initially I was like, oh, flipping Nora, this is weird. But my only concern, I wasn't nervous about it. My only concern was, will my voice hold out? Because we got so much to get through. You know, this was hours and hours of non-stop speaking to camera. Now, I'm kind of used to that as a narrator, you know, doing audiobooks, but to camera as well, and be performing constantly. But it wasn't a problem because I have got the techniques. I got the, you know.
I bet you were so glad you had those techniques, especially with your voice, so you didn't strain it. And you know what I loved about those adverts is your lovely twinkling eyes above Father Christmas. Like, you're totally credible.
I'll show you something now. Hang on, let me grab.
Because yes, we're going to have to wrap this up in a mo. Alicia's told me. Very strict producer.
These are the Christmas cards I've had done, but that was me.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Will you send me one?
Yeah.
Will you send me one? I'd be so proud to put it up on the Gothis wall.
These are the nice ones that say Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
I have other cards exactly the same, but it says something slightly different.
Well, will you say, if it's a slightly different one, will you send it to me then?
No, you're not offended. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because you know me, I really get offended easily, don't I? Right. So listen, I am delighted that you did this with me today. I'm very, very proud of your success now and your continued success, because it's all up for you. I mean, of course, there's going to be the odd job you don't get and everything, but that's life. But I'm so glad that thanks to trusting in the training, putting your voice in my hand, so to speak, which sounds really disgusting, that that you've improved so much. And I'm really proud of your success, and I'm proud for you. And also, you're such a lovely man. I mean, you know, when we have our RichCraft dinner at One Voice, I loved, like last time I just sat next to you and we just like talked about music, and because Aubrey and I have a lot of kind of musical crossover kind of things, and you're just a top chap.
There was a lot of gin as well, wasn't there?
Well, not for me, there wasn't. I hate gin, but there was for you. Yes, there was for you, gin.
One thing I'll say is that anybody watching this that's thinking about, you know, going into voiceover, get trained, get training. Yeah. You need it. You might not think you do.
Yes.
You absolutely do. Do it. Do it.
And do it with whom, Audrey? That's his alter ego.
Now that you're going to make a slip up like that.
I'm so sorry, I said I'd never tell.
No, get on in with RichCraft. They're a great bunch of people. They're really, really good. They know what they're talking about.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take the plunge, spend the money, get trained.
You'll get, you know what, if you're at the end of it, if you've put the work in on the marketing, you will earn your coaching back very quickly.
Absolutely.
All my top students do. All of you are working full time as voices. And I don't think many coaches can say that, to be honest. I honestly don't. So Aubrey, thank you so much. And one thing I must make sure that people know is, if they want to work with the wonderful Aubrey Parsons, whether it be a voiceover or even in person now on camera, how do they find you? How do they get hold of you?
Probably the easiest way, I guess, is via my website, which is www.vo-artist.com.
Wow. Okay, that's not at all specific, is it? Did you do that on purpose?
Yeah. I think if you Google Aubrey Parsons voiceover, you'll find me as well.
Yes,
that's linked to it. But
and it's not Audrey.
No, you can call me what you like. Just don't call me in the morning.
You know what? You should buy Aubrey Parsons now, because just in case.
For all the people that can't speak.
For all the people that can't spell, Oh, well, thank you